We all have dreams, don't we? Elizabeth Kubler-Ross says, there are dreams of love, life, and adventure in all of us. But we're also sadly filled with reasons why we shouldn't try. These reasons seek to protect us, but in truth, they imprison us. They hold life at a distance. Life will be over sooner than we think. If we have bikes to ride and people to love, now is the time. I have a dream, a desire to deeply connect with myself and my loved ones. But for years, I felt like my life was spinning in circles. I kept landing in the same place, feeling alone, not understood, not seen, until I found a way to overcome that. I'm Regula Fischer, and this is my Oxford Talk. It started with me hiding in my childhood room. It was my temple, my refuge. It was the place I would withdraw to when all I really wanted was connection, someone to sit with me and ask me how I was feeling, someone to listen to me and understand me, someone to hold me. This was a contradiction, I know, because of course in my room there was nobody except for my dolls and my journal. I remember sometimes when my mom was multitasking in the kitchen and I was yearning for her full attention to share something that was bothering me. I wanted to say, "Mom, could you please stop being busy for a moment and listen to me? I need you right now." But instead, I was silent. I took this habit with me into adulthood, withdrawing and hiding instead of expressing and connecting, especially in moments when I felt hurt. At some point, I started noticing a lump in my throat when I suppressed my feelings, and that lump stayed there. I began to get swollen and sore throats regularly, and I got more and more anxious, which affected everything from my relationships to my work and how I generally felt about life. And yes, self-pity felt good sometimes, but it did not get me anywhere. I needed to shake things up, to interrupt my emotional and physical suffering. I needed to take first steps into a new direction. I needed new sources of inspiration, new ways to get out of my stuckness, my anxiety, my isolation. I needed what I have come to call first-time experiences. But where to start? In my career, I was familiar with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's change curve. But until then, it had never occurred to me to also use it in my private life. Kubler-Ross's model shows us the phases we go through when we're faced with change. Clearly, I had been in denial, not wanting to accept that my experience of life would not change unless I changed. A first step, a first time for me, was to acknowledge that rather uncomfortable truth. It was time to get out of the valley of despair and to give my explorer voice more attention. If I wanted to be heard and seen, maybe I needed to start speaking up and talking about how I felt, instead of relying on others to guess and then being disappointed and feeling hurt if they did not. I decided that I wanted to find ways to share my feelings more openly with my loved ones. And even though I had chosen my immediate family to start practicing with, I was nervous. There was the voice of the doubter in me who said, "How can you do that? What if they never hear you, never understand you? What if you say something that hurts them and you regret saying it?" Yet, there was also the voice of the motivator. First more like a whisper. But the more I paid attention to it, the more passionate it got. Well done on the decision. There is a way, for sure. I know it will be worth it. And so I rolled up my sleeves and started the work. And work it was. It was painful. All these awkward first attempts to squeeze words out of a throat that seemed too tight. It was daunting. All these instances of searching desperately for the right words, just for my mind to go all blank again, like a lifeless computer screen. And then I was disappointed in myself for not being able to speak. Or the opposite happened. Words and tears just burst out of me all at once, sometimes with anger that seemed to be directed at the other person, when really I was just frustrated with myself. And then I felt guilty for going too far. However, eventually, with practice and persistence, it got easier. Words flowed more freely, and I felt more at peace. I found some balance and trust in the process. There was nothing to be afraid of. I saw that my sharing of my emotions touched others, and I discovered sides of them that I had not known before. I will always remember a few very special moments, like when I saw a tear roll down my father's cheek, as I told him how I struggled when he got impatient and raised his voice at me. Something that, by the way, never happened again after this conversation. Or my mom's hug when I shared my longing for her undivided attention and the heartfelt letters she sent me afterwards. Or my brothers, their care and their genuine concern for me, even when I expressed my frustrations with them. I came to learn that my dearest relationships are worth so much that they're also worth navigating through conflict together at times, and all the pain that can sometimes happen with it. By sticking with this work over time, I also started to understand myself much better. My self-esteem and confidence grew, along with my ability to forgive myself and others. Today, it feels so good to know that when I choose, I can share my feelings openly, instead of keeping silent and hiding by default, with that lump in my throat and a heavy heart. Now, I have a choice and a voice. And there is also a very interesting somatic or physical side effect as a result of this. Since I began talking more freely, I hardly ever have a sore throat anymore. As Jack Canfield said, you don't have to get it perfectly. You just have to get it going. Babies don't walk the first time they try, but eventually they get it right. And that's exactly the point. You just have to start. When you feel stuck, start creating first-time experiences, healthy, functional ones. And no, it doesn't mean you have to go and jump out of an airplane, or at least not right away. Start small. Customize the first times to your situation, your desires, your dreams. And even if these experiences are a bit uncomfortable at the beginning, savor them. Pay attention to the voice of the pioneer in you, the voice we all have in us that says, yes, it's scary, but let's do it anyway. It will be worth it. The root of the word courage is cor, the Latin word for heart. Showing courage, the willingness to face our fears, means we stay connected with our heart, our dreams. Finding joy in stepping forward, in venturing out on first-time experiences, helps us make decisions more courageously and more quickly. We stay in motion and in the flow of life. And let me ask you, doesn't it feel good to make decisions, especially if they have been long overdue? to consciously decide who you want to become, how you want to feel, think, and respond, how you want to connect with yourself, others, and life. The true power of first-time experiences lies not in their novelty, but in their alignment with your dreams and aspirations, and in bringing playfulness into your life, one first time at a time. The worst case is, even if everything initially goes wrong, you still have a first time to add to your list, and most likely a story to tell, exactly like what I'm doing here. You have a choice and a voice and a life to live. As Abraham Lincoln said, in the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years.